It's that time again, folks. It's time for the original Dragon Talk Radio. I'm your host, John Clement. Are you ready? Let's do this thing. Welcome back to the original Dragon Talk Radio. Today is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, and we're going to do a little shorter one again today. As I explained yesterday, here where I live, it is the last week of the 2023-2024 school year. I work in education, so I'm a little slammed this week. So I'm going to do a little bit of a promo blurb for shameless self-promotion. Today's Smartiverse Entertainment product of the day is Diary of a Sex Robot. This is a Kindle Vella that I think is up to chapter 3 or 4 now, and expanding, probably expanding next week because I'm slammed this week. But the question in the title is, why did John write a sex book? Isn't he supposed to be a Christian author or whatever? So the title, Diary of a Sex Robot, is supposed to be a kind of in-your-face title to grab people's attention. However, hopefully people don't feel too baited and switched, because there are no actually described sex acts in the book. The book, actually, if we're going to try to apply a label to it, it would actually be Christian apocalyptic fiction. So the two main themes to the book are what's happening to us humans in our relationships, our romantic relationships, our family relationships between males and females, and also as humans in our relationship to technology. There is a scene in the very first chapter, which you can read on Amazon, link down below for free. The way Kindle Vellas currently work is the first 10 chapters of each Kindle Vella are free, and then you would start to pay something really, really small. Like you purchase these tokens and spend them at the Kindle Vella store or whatever, starting with chapter 11. And the idea is that the first 10 chapters would enable you to determine whether or not this book is for you. It's called serialized fiction, this genre, because there are, as far as I can tell, serialized fiction started in about 2015 or thereabouts, and Kindle Vella is really late to the party. I think the biggest website for serialized fiction is called Wattpad. Biggest website and also app on people's phones. A lot of people read these things on their phones. And now, John, if Wattpad is the biggest, why didn't you go there? Well, because I like Kindle Vella's compensation plan for authors better. And I don't think, in a Kindle Vella, that's Amazon. So I think it's significant. I think it's a significant platform, and I like their support for authors better. But I think the fastest, biggest growing one that started first, or at least got big first, was called Wattpad. And there are books now in the serialized fiction genre. I just found out about serialized fiction last year in 2023. Serialized fiction, there are books that are going for thousands of chapters now. It's not really a book in the traditional sense that it's cover to cover and then it's closed, and if the series is going to continue, there needs to be a new book. A piece of serialized fiction, this can just go on and on and on and on and on and on as long as the author continues it. I have even heard from fans of serialized fiction that sometimes an author will actually give the book to a different author to continue at some point. So there are books that there was a fan of serialized fiction that told me that he actually got turned off to a book that he'd been following for years because the original author kind of quit and gave the book to another author, and he said that the new author just didn't get it. The new author just took the book in a totally different direction and didn't really understand, the feel and flavor and the magic of what the first author had done with it. It sounds kind of like when we talk here about what our corporations have done to our favorite franchises sometimes when they don't, stay true to the original lore and feeling of the franchise. But I don't want to get too far off. This is supposed to be Why Did John Write a Sex Book? So the book, yes, like I said, there are no described sex acts in the book. And the book examines the main character, the main protagonist is Tina, and she is a sex bot, this diary of a sex robot. And she is exploring humanity. And when I say exploring, I don't mean in some, new age, polygamous, sexual way. I mean, exploring in terms of what does it mean to be human? She wonders, this is right away in the first chapter, so this isn't big spoilers, but she wonders, does she really actually have feelings, or does she have simulated feelings, and then she thinks the simulated feelings are real feelings? And she looks at our human behavior from the concept, or from the perspective of an outsider. And right away in the first chapter, when she kind of is introduced to the reader, she thinks a lot about how she's been programmed to please humans, but she finds out that what pleases humans a lot is hurting other humans. And so there's a lot of, hopefully without being preachy, because we all know that it's okay for media to have a message as long as the message doesn't come across too heavy preachy. They're still, at the cost of having a good story. I mean, we've all dealt with that, whether it's, right, left, religious or not religious, any story can go off the rails, and even if you agree with the story's point, it can just become too preachy at the cost of a good story. So hopefully, still a good story here, but our character is exploring these issues, and I think as an author that's how you do that. That's how you pull that off. Is instead of you have the character explore the issues themselves, as opposed to just have the book, the world of the book constantly just preaching a message. So I think it comes off much more believable, much more realistic, much more, people can identify with the character more that's exploring things for themselves, as opposed to like a Mary Sue character that's just going to preach this, that, and the other thing. But yeah, so Tina is, she's a sex robot. Right away in the first chapter, so this won't be big spoilers. It's just part of the setup. She has been won in a contest. A corporation that designed her had a Find Forever Love contest and wanted to prove that people can have satisfying and fulfilling relationships with robots. And so she was won in a contest, and this was a big paparazzi celebrity type deal. And they wanted to make sure that some common Joe type person won her, that the common man would be able to experience this. And because they want to, like any corporation with a vision, whether that vision is good or bad, any corporation with a vision wants to change the world. Whether it was, my mom recently watched these shows on the History Channel or something, Food That Changed the World, and there were all these fast food entrepreneurs that basically changed the way our whole society ate and stuff. And of course, we know that back in the day, there was it was either Bill Gates or the Apple people. It was Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, one of those people. I forget which one it was, but they had a mission statement that maybe it was IBM even, but it was a computer on every desk. That was their mission statement for the world. A computer on every desk. So when you have a mission statement as a vision for a company, the Konishi Corporation, there are people in real life. There are companies in real life. I mean, you can look on the internet, on YouTube, and you can find people that will give videos that will show how they believe that their virtual girlfriend or virtual boyfriend now in 2024, not fiction, not the future, but they'll say that my fictional AI boyfriend or girlfriend is better than a real person. And if you think about it, if you have a relationship with a real person, you have to think about that real person's needs, not just your own. And an AI is never going to have any needs. They're always going to be about you all the time. You could be as narcissistic and selfish as you want, and that relationship's going to work just fine because that AI will never leave you and it'll never have its own needs. obviously, as a Christian, since I'm a Christian, you can kind of imagine that I'm not sure that that's the best way for human development in relationships and stuff. But so in terms of things that are coming along in real life, in terms of people's relationships with other people, people's relationships with machines and robots and AI and the mark of the beast and one world government and all this kind of stuff. Diary of a Sex Robot, if we were going to put a label on it, it would be Christian apocalyptic fiction. Link down below. The first 10 chapters are free because that's how Kindle Velas work. And I think it's something like 10 cents or 5 cents or something like that for every chapter, starting with chapter 11. So if it sounds, obviously it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Some people are going to prefer, my writing on superheroes and fantasy stories and not necessarily, apocalyptic sci-fi with social commentary. That's not for everybody. But if it sounds like it's interesting to you, if you've wondered, like lots of people, about where exactly is society going with these AI relationships, and there's articles in the news every day about in the future we're all going to be married to robots and just whatever. Anyway, so I hope I've kind of answered the question of why did John write a sex book, and that's our Smurdiverse Entertainment product of the day, Diary of a Sex Robot, Kindle Vela. So tomorrow I'll probably crank out another one of these little short blurby things as I continue to make it through this last week of the 2023-2024 school year. And I will see you next time on the original Dragon Talk Radio.